Okay. Hi, friends. Thank you for returning and enjoying this Saudi Arabia drone attack series with me, because we indeed did find out that Saudi attacked itself to blame Iran. Someone else had a really great point. I don't remember who wrote this, but the Saudis will go to war with Iran to the death of the very last American. Saudis are not our friends. Do not forget about 9/11 and Jamal Khashoggi. And Donald is defending them for what? Because of money, because of mercenaries. This is where we are. And boy, it sure would be nice for people to call them out on this. But anyway, so this is a chart for 4 a.m. Remember, I said it was very peculiar the way whoever was in charge of this town, Buqayq, made a statement. The only statement they made was that there were fires that were to be put out. Well, this is the chart that they're referring to, and this is a couple hours ahead of the full moon, so they're still operating within the quarter moon chart, the very end. But when you look at who is involved with all of this and why the local governments made that statement, you have 5 incidences with Israel, 16 with the United States, 8 from the kids, and 16 from the GOP/Mercer from Satan. So when I ask the local government, what's about that statement? On their ascendant, think of the card of the reading, is 10 of Pentacles, Trump Dynasty, and 8 of Cups. Bibi setting them up for this. In the first house, how they're identifying themselves, 9 swords. It's a nightmare for them. They are so panicked and nervous, in a frenzied wreck. And here we have the United States in the 5th, because, Donald represents us. Donald, Erica, Zuck, and Coke, all contributing to this primary nightmare of theirs. And who funded it? The second house of income was the United States. United States, Queen of Wands. That could be Mercer. It could be Pelosi. But regardless, the United States, that's how it's regarded. Income. God, I hope we have receipts. In the third house of, this is 7 Pentacles. This has to do with all the data and all the information. I am kind of looking at that 7 Pentacles more like someone saying to them, acknowledging that, yeah, this is what happened in our neighborhoods, and we're just going to look at it. We're not even going to touch it. These are the wrong cards. 7 of Pentacles, yep. It's almost as if someone's saying, look at what happened here. Because in the 4th house, what's bearing down for that city is they're devastated, the deceit, the treachery, and the King of Cups coming directly from Putin. Supporting actors there are China in the 1st. This China, India, USA are the primary recipients of the oil, the petroleum that comes out of that refinery. But we've got Parscale, the GOP, the NRA, China, and Donald bearing down on them. In their 5th house of the sun, they have the 6 of Swords trying to get to calmer waters because they've got the GOP, Koch, Netanyahu, USA, Donald, Mercer, Zuck, and Ivanka breathing down their neck. They were attacked. The 5 of Swords in the 6th house of service, think about the military and intelligence. You have Koch, Donald, Pence, and the GOP on the ascendant. I can't believe how much the Republican Party is involved with this. Now, remember, I've said, here's the 1st house of identity. The 7th house is your opponent. So that local government sees what happened to them. They had a massive tower moment from an opponent, and that was due to Netanyahu, China, and Putin. And then the United States helped further that along. In the 8th house of transformation, life, death, this is what freaks me out. They drew the 6 of Wands reversed, meaning the 6 of Wands, 6 Wands mob, in their face, transforming the way they live and die. And they basically have the 4 of Cups. I don't know where I said this earlier, but in an earlier reading, I'm like, I feel like this is someone being force-fed something. Not really given an option. This is what you're going to get, and this is what you're going to like. 4 of Cups. Look at this. They feel like they've been told. We've committed this to your community, and you're going to like it. In the 9th house of lands, places far away, 4 of Pentacles. That's hanging on to what you've got. Why did this happen? Because the Mercers and the NRA need to hang on what they have with the election for Netanyahu. And in the 10th house, for this local government, they're paid off. Knight of Pentacles, right there. Netanyahu is paying them off from money in the 2nd house. Remember, Trump gave the Saudis money at the Israel full moon to pay them off. It's the wrong chart. Hopes, wishes, dreams, 8 of Swords. They are terrified. 8 of Swords. That's the one with the blindfolded with the swords around them. I've got Pence, 6 Wands mob, and Ivanka and Junior. I don't know if it's that maybe they're hoping that the truth comes out, because they're so afraid. And in the house of secrets and hidden enemies, you have the 8 of Wands. This stuff happening so fast, and their hidden enemies is Mercer and Zuckerberg. Isn't that disgusting? So then at their full moon, so this is at 7:30 in the morning. So just 3 hours prior, 4 a.m., they had to make a statement. And how are they looking at this full moon? They've got the Knight of Pentacles on the ascendant. They were paid off by mercenaries. Pelosi, thankfully, I hope, knows about this. And Netanyahu had this in the 2nd house of income. So here again, we have Netanyahu paying them off. In the 1st house of identity, they are still trembling and shaking because of the 8 of Wands, and this stuff happened so fast and unexpectedly. And who else is there? Mercers and Zuck. In the 2nd house of income is the 8 of Swords. They're terrified. There was a terror attack committed on them. Well, Pence also drew the 8 of Swords in the 2nd house. I don't know if this is from his Poland trip. The 6 of Wands had this from the 9th house, and then Ivanka and Jared had it in the 4th. Like they knew this was happening because of the 6 Wands mob. In their homes and communities, here we have the 9 Swords again, just terrified. Terrified. Look at Saturn is right there. They got Koch, Zuck, USA, Donald Trump as their secret enemy, and Eric on the ascendant contributing to that. In the 4th house, remember I said in another one that I think that was a 1:30 a.m. chart when it happened. They were defenseless. Well, here, bearing down here. The 5 of Swords is the mafia, like overkill, fighting, reversed. They can't defend themselves. They're paralyzed. Donald also had this in the 4th house. This was an agreement. This is Donald's fingerprints all over. Same with the Coke. In the 5th house, the Sun represents the ruler of it. Yeah, who's there? It's a 6 Wands mob. They're not even reversed. 6 Wands mobs shows up all about me because they had this in the 1st house. In the 10th and the 6th house of service and military, they feel totally stabbed in the back. Their day-to-day stuff, their day-to-day operations, service, work. Donald had this in the 7th house. Donald is being stabbed in the back, and he's thrusting it on someone else with the help of Bibi, and Ivanka knows. This is what just disturbs me so much. Here, remember, 1st house, 7th house is your opposition. That local government, their opposition, this is what they're doing to them. Forcing this idea and this notion, like holding a terrorist hostage. This is what you're going to do and say. The Saudis had this in the 4th, Netanyahu had it in the 4th, and China had it on the ascendant. So China is also involved in this. We've got China, the Saudis, Donald, and Bibi. They need Netanyahu elected. In the 8th house of transformation, that is the King of Swords. And Putin and Bibi drew this card both in the 11th, hopes, wishes, dreams. I really think this has to do with the Russia investigation, and stuff is coming out because 8th is life or death. The Mueller report, Russia investigation is life or death for Putin and Bibi. They're done if this stuff comes out. In the 9th house, distant lands, well, it's the Queen of Cups. And, you know, Putin's got rule over our Oval Office, so Putin is making them make the call that the United States thinks it's Iran. The 6 Wands mob also has the Queen of Cups in the 5th. The GOP and Parscale are backing that up. In the 7th house, this little community is still like, what the F just happened still? And Donald had that in the 3rd for communities, neighborhoods. He also had it in the 2nd as an asset. And that has to do with the United States full moon. The red is the Israel full moon. So he's all over. He knew he was going to be doing this long ago. And it's playing out in the skies. Ivanka knows about it. Junior knows that this is an asset. And that relates to the tweets going out there today claiming garbage about Election Day, election fraud. And I posted this in the discussion tab, a picture about how they're claiming that record numbers of Arabs are voting, even though it's stock photo and it's a lie. What was all that other stuff that was happening with our election? That picture circulated about how the wrong people were voting. This is the same playbook over and over and over. Now, for this town, their 11th house, hopes, wishes, dreams, is the hangman of Jared. This is Jared who had talked to Nancy and told them what was up. We also have Junior on the ascendant, Mark Zuckerberg. Sometimes I think Mark Zuckerberg is in, sometimes I don't think he is. And then this community, their hidden enemy, their secret King of Wands, that is MBS. Angry Putin and MBS. And China's there, USA is there. Pelosi drew the King of Wands in the 6th house. So I'm hoping she knows about what's going on. But this, that's how they're doing it behind the scenes. Okay, now I just want to check in with Corey Lewandowski really quick. Corey Lewandowski, what in the world are you thinking with this hearing today? You got subpoenaed and you're like, there's executive privilege, even though you